Buying a new car should be a super fun and enjoyable experience. However, that's not always the case. Usually you see a headline price, and then when you start working your way through the different specification levels, adding equipment on, it all becomes very confusing and very expensive. Suzuki know this, and that's why with their latest generation Suzuki Swift, it's not only improved with added equipment as standard, added safety tech and more soundproofing to make it more enjoyable to drive, they've simplified the buying process. There's just two specifications to choose from, and they both come with a ton of equipment. Hi guys, I'm Tish and welcome back to the John Banks Car Review channel. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the latest generation Suzuki Swift. I'm going to be talking about the changes for this generation and what you get as standard on all versions of the Suzuki Swift, which is just the Motion and Ultra. So if that sounds good, then please keep watching. If you like new car reviews and car content, then hit the subscribe button and join the John Banks Review channel. And if you did want to test drive a Suzuki Swift for yourself, then you can do that at John Banks. I'll pop all the details into the description box. So first of all, let's talk about those two different specifications. First of all, you choose between two specifications. The Motion is priced from £18,699. It gets adaptive cruise control, a rear view camera and parking sensors, heated front seats, wireless smartphone connectivity, traffic sign recognition, blind spot monitors, and keyless entry and start, just to name a few noteworthy pieces of spec. Opting for the Ultra, priced from £19,799, this adds automatic air conditioning, rear heater outlets, electronically folding door mirrors with integrated indicators, and front seatbelt shoulder height adjusters. You can choose between 8 different colour combinations, with cool yellow metallic being the noteworthy addition to the range. Pure white, cool yellow, burning red pearl and frontier blue can be optioned with a super black roof and door mirrors, super being the name and not my description. There are very few accessories from factory, but these include body decals and red or carbon fibre mirror covers. Isn't it fantastic to have so many new colour combinations for the Swift? I also love the fact that they've opted as their flame orange pearl metallic as their standard car, because that car looks pretty striking. Usually you get matte paint finishes as the standard option, so I love that Suzuki have thrown that in. Now this is one of the £850 options because I've got a contrasting roof, but doesn't it look amazing? This is the Frontier blue pearl metallic, and I've also got the super black roof and super black door mirrors. It does really set off the new styling of the new Swift, especially because that contrasting roof matches together with the new gloss black front grille, which a lot of people have said looks almost like a Ford Puma, and I don't think that's a bad thing. The new Swift definitely has a softer feel about it. It's familiar, but it's also changed in a lot of ways as well. But what else is new? Well, now you'll see this bonnet scoop line across the top, and the badge has moved from the front of the car to be onto the bonnet instead. You've also got some new front LED lights, and you've got an L-shaped lighting signature. Now this car that I'm with today is the lower spec Motion car, although there's no low spec models when it comes to the Swift. Every single one is packed full of a technology and equipment as standard. But the main way you can tell this is the Motion car and not the top spec Ultra is because of the alloy wheels. Both versions get 16-inch wheels as standard, but on this model you'll see they're finished in one silver colour, compared to the Ultra, which gets a two-tone alloy wheel instead. The new Swift remains on the same hard-tech platform as the previous generation, and that means it's still compact in size, and in fact its dimensions are almost identical. It's also still lightweight. The outgoing model weighed 900 kilograms and this version weighs 949, so just a little heavier, but still an extremely lightweight car in today's standards. Some of the changes around the back are my favourite. I really like the addition of a spoiler popular on all versions of the Swift, and I like these rear lights. Very similar to what we've seen on the latest generation of Clio. They're almost clear in their design, and you have the elements floating inside. I really like those. Similar to the dimensions, the boot space is also the same. And inside here you'll find 265 litres of boot space. Now that's not enormous, and the boot is probably not the shining example in the Swift, because you do get quite a large load lip and it feels a little bit cheaper compared to rivals inside here. You do get a light and you also get a luggage hook, but you won't find any 12-volt charging, you don't get an adjustable boot floor, and practicality is just a little bit behind some of its more premium rivals. But that's just the key. The price of the Swift isn't premium, so you do lose out in some small areas. Similar to the boot space, rear space also remains the same as the outgoing model due to the dimensions being pretty much exactly the same. That means there's an okay amount of space in the back here. It is best for just 2 people. 3 people could be a bit of a squeeze as it's slightly narrow, so shoulder room would be a struggle. But I've got a decent amount of leg room and pretty good headroom as well. I've got access to bottle holders in the doors, and I've also got a cup holder in the centre here, but unfortunately I don't have any further cup holders via an armrest, or there isn't any rear ventilation vents in the centre, although if you go for the higher spec Ultra, you do get ventilation for the rear seat passengers, which is located underneath the driver's seat. You also get some grab handles in the back as well if you go for the Ultra, but all versions get electric windows in the rear. With many brands ditching the option of a manual gearbox, it's great that whether you go for either the Motion or the Ultra version of the Swift, you can still have either a 5-speed manual gearbox or an eCVT automatic. And to make the Swift even rarer in its small car form, if you go for the Ultra model paired together with the manual gearbox, you can still get Suzuki's all-grip 4-wheel drive in a Swift. And the engine has changed too. It's still the same 1.2 litre mild hybrid petrol, but it's lost a cylinder. Now, before you worry too much, let me explain, and I'll try not to get too technical. So the outgoing engine was labelled the K12. It was a 1.2 litre mild hybrid petrol. It got 81 brake horsepower, and it was a 4-cylinder inline. This new engine, which is in the new Swift, is labelled the Z12E. This is the same 1.2 litre petrol engine, but it's now a 3-cylinder. So it does get the same 81 brake horsepower, but torque is actually up, although it's a very small amount. It gets 4 more pound-feet of torque, but the key to the new engine is it's more economical. Suzuki claim that this new engine can get up to 62.2 miles per gallon, which I think is pretty impressive. During development, various measures were taken to reduce noise, vibration and harshness to assist with greater ride comfort and also make the cabin environment even quieter than the outgoing model. For the first time on a Suzuki vehicle, sound and vibration adhesive have been applied to the underbody to reduce transmission of noise and vibration into the cabin, particularly on bumpy roads. And all of that soundproofing means that you still have a car which is really enjoyable to drive, but it's now more refined at lower and especially higher speeds. Inside the new generation of Swift, it's clear that significant effort has gone into making the cabin lighter and brighter. You get slightly lighter trimmed seats, you get a light headlining, and you also get this new 2-tone finish to the interior. It definitely makes it feel much more fresh, although it's very familiar in here. You've got the same steering wheel as before and the same switches around the cabin. But the most significant difference is the new infotainment system. All models get a new 9-inch screen atop the dash in the new Swift. The layout is more user-friendly and the graphics are sharper. The rear view camera is standard and is now also placed higher to avoid dirt from the road. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are now wireless, and every model comes with sat-nav. You also get new digital climate control dials, which are controlled using these little buttons up and down. Although if you go for the Ultra model, this becomes automatic. You get loads of charging capabilities, which I think is fantastic. You've got USB, USB-C and an extra USB and a 12-volt charger up the front here. You also have a section of storage, 2 cup holders, and my favourite part, all versions of the new Swift get heated seats as standard. Suzuki have always built cars which are really enjoyable to drive, and I'm glad that they haven't changed that about the latest generation Swift. The steering is still nice and light for around town, but it's actually quite engaging when you get down the back roads. Also, my favourite model is with the manual gearbox, because the manual gearbox is a delight. It would have been nice in this latest generation if we had a 6th gear, but for around town the 5 gears are perfectly fine. One of my favourite changes they've made to this latest generation Swift is how the adaptive cruise control works. I've always thought it was amazing that the Swift got adaptive cruise control as standard, but it's even better in this latest generation. You see, before, some customers complained that on a motorway, when there was a slight bend in the road, the Swift's adaptive cruise control would stay at full power, and this was a little bit unnerving, needing you to put your foot on the brake. Now, in this new generation, when it senses there's a corner coming up, it will actually slow you down a little bit rather than staying at full speed. And previously, there was 3 different options for how close you could be into the car in front, and all of them were quite far away, much further than you'd actually need to be. Well, what they've done for the latest car is they've added an extra level of how close you can get, and they've moved everything just a little bit closer. So it's now far more practical to what you'd actually use on the motorway. For the first time in a Suzuki, a camera and a near-infrared LED in the instrument panel monitor the driver's eyes, even in low light, to detect drowsiness or inattention by tracking the eyelid and yawning frequency. If the driver seems drowsy, distracted, or is looking away, especially at higher speeds, the system triggers an alarm and displays a warning to suggest a brake. Standard active safety features in the Motion and Ultra include an enhanced dual sensor brake system, now using a millimetre wave radar and a camera for better collision mitigation, including at night and intersections. If it detects pedestrians, cyclists, motorcycles and vehicles ahead, functioning even at high speeds and in poor weather. This system aids in preventing or reducing collisions through warnings, brake assist and automatic braking functions. So that all sounds extremely positive, but what about the warranty packages? What's that like on the Swift? Well, I'm really pleased to say that it's extremely competitive. It gets 3 years as standard, however, it has something called a service activated warranty. That means if you bring it back to a Suzuki dealer, like us here at John Banks, and have it serviced yearly, you can get another year up to 7 years warranty, which is really great. You can have 7 years of worry-free motoring. And for those low prices, I really think that offers a package that not many other brands can. But let me know, what do you think of the new Swift? I know that the styling can be a little bit contrasting, but once you take a look at the price and what you get as standard, it's hard to deny that this is a fantastic offering. We also currently have 0% finance offers, and you can be driving away in a Swift for as little as £200 a month. It really is a very enticing package, but why don't you come and take a look for one yourself? Pop down to our John Banks dealers, I'll pop their details in the comments down below, and you can take the Swift out for a test drive for yourself and see what you think. Let me know all of your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos from me on the John Banks Review channel, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Until next time guys, see you later.